देख लो बच्चों।
अरे ये बाद में पिलाना बाबा। बाबा ये क्या है बाबा? बाबा इतना तो टैक्सी में आने जाने का भाड़ा लग जाता है बाबा। हाँ मान गए भाई। बाबा पहले किसी के पास।
देखिए ये गलत बात है। देखिए
हाँ कह रहे हैं हाँ। क्या बाबा बड़ा है तो एक जीरो बड़ा एक और हाँ एक और बाबा लास्ट बस लास्ट। भाई दवाई दे देना इनको।
सिर्फ एक टपकती बूंद आपकी किस्मत बदल सकती है। घर में रखिए एमसी हमेशा।
രണ്ട് മൂന്ന് നാല് അഞ്ച്.
चुटकी में चिपकाए फेविक्विक।
फिल्म टूटे खिलौने से इस गाने की फरमाइश की थी जुमरीत भैया से गोश्त लश्कर, महालक्ष्मी से राम घोषाल, सुमंत्र मधवानी और तारदेव से सुरेंद्र लाल।
लगता है ये फेविकॉल का कमाल है, टूटेगा नहीं।
तब पछताए से क्या होए जब चिड़िया चुग गई खेत। अर्थात पानी की लीकेज से बचने के लिए घर बनाते समय ही लाइए डॉक्टर फिक्सेड की जोड़ी। ये LW+ सीमेंट में मिलाइए और URP छत और बाथरूम में लगाइए। नहीं तो चिड़िया फ्लाइंग यू क्राइंग कह दे रहे हैं।
डॉक्टर फिक्सेड वाटरप्रूफिंग का डॉक्टर।
Good evening, everyone. So we are humbled. I mean, I can't tell you how happy we are. I think let us welcome Shri Madhukar Parekh with a huge round of applause. So we are very, I think those ads, they did not use any words. We were talking to Sir offline. I think we realized that sometimes actions speak louder than words, and your ads are a living example of that. Thank you, sir, for sparing the time and coming. We also welcome our president, Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, who escorts him to the stage. We also recognize the presence of his granddaughter, Malika Amase. Malika has come all the way from London to Bombay to Indore. And I think you're finding the cities becoming better, no? London, Bombay, Indore. I think she told me the cities are becoming better and bigger. Akhilesh, sir, we would request you to be on the stage. Mr. Madhukar Balwantrai Parekh, the Pidilite, the chairman, the man behind Pidilite Industries, the Fevicol man of India. So we totally are humbled and we cherish your presence. We cherish living with you in your times and breathe the same air as you do. So our brilliant list of speakers comprises past Lifetime Achievement awardees like Mr. Ratan Tata, Ms. Simon Tata, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, Mr. Deepak Parekh, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, Mr. A.M. Naik, Mr. Dilip Sanghvi, Mr. Y.K. Hamid, Ms. Anu Aga, Mr. Harsh Mariwala. Sir, your gracious presence adds grace to this graceful list of IMA. So once again, thank you, sir. Sir, I am in awe of your brand. I am in awe of Pidilite as a vendor to Pidilite, as a small retail investor, and also as an avid reader of Indian family managed businesses. Sir, in all quarters, you fit the bill to the T. I also see people in your organization. As a vendor, I can tell you, sir, I see people working for a very long time in your organization. So I think this speaks volumes about how your people are treated well in your organization. They are excellent negotiators, which is one thing as a vendor I can observe. Brilliant paymasters, and everybody is very technically savvy. So I think there's a lot of encouragement to technology. As an investor, we can say, what can we say? So you pay 1000% dividend. I think everything else is taken care of by that. So much done in one life is exceptional. And I'm sure, Malika, you will join me in saying that, that all this comes with a lot of humility in Mr. Parekh. So if we take a random sample of people, say 70% people will know what an adhesive is, and 50% of them will be able to pronounce adhesive correctly. But 100% people will know what Fevicol is and how to pronounce that word Fevicol. So I think this is one example where the brand has actually overtaken the product category. We have heard of brands being synonymous to the product category, but this is one example where people say Naya Fevicol, Dusra Fevicol. So Fevicol is more, I think it's a brand bigger than the product category, so you've created it, and we are happy to have you. So without taking much of your time, may I request Mrs. Mamta Rathi to please welcome our guest with a bouquet. May I also request Mrs. Preeti Khandelwal to recognize the presence of Malika with a bouquet. Preeti, Malika, we look forward to seeing you as the Lifetime Achievement Awardee 30 years from now. Now that you've joined the family business, we look forward to seeing you. Just yesterday we were told that women are taking lead in entrepreneurship, so I think you somehow prove that example right. May I request Sapan Bhai to please play IMA's AV introduction and first the IMA anthem song, so our guest can see what IMA is all about.
It's a life, we live it this way. Together we play, we are IMA. From the beginning till the end of this day, we move and we sway, together we stay. We'll take your hand and help you through the mistakes. Whatever it takes, we'll find a brand new place. We'll join our hand in hands and then we'll fly till the end of the time, till our worries will die. We'll do it our way, the IMA way. IMA. It's a dream to be at our best. We fight on our own with no room for rest. It's a dream to be at our best. We fight on our own with no room for rest. And it's a legacy that we want to leave. Make them all believe there will be no relief. And all the world will follow us on our tracks, turning white from the black, just like raising the flag. We'll do it our way, the IMA way.
Thank you. Guests, I can tell you one thing. Recently I had an opportunity to go to Nathdwara temple. So the priest over there told me that it may take you some time for darshan. काफी भीड़ होती है. But darshan होने के बाद आप सारी थकान भूल जाओगे. So preparing for the conclave makes you tired, but once you listen to this song, you suddenly forget all the fatigue. I think our EC team will agree to this. You completely forget the fatigue after you listen to this song. Sapan bhai, may we now introduce our chief guest through the AV?
Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh. Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh is the chairman of Pidilite Industries Limited, often referred to as the Fevicol Man of India. Mr. Parekh was instrumental in building India's leading chemicals and adhesives company, Pidilite. A visionary and business stalwart, Mr. Parekh joined Pidilite Industries, a company started by his father in 1959, and grew it to new heights. Under his leadership, the company's flagship product, Fevicol, through a bold and innovative marketing strategy, became a household name and one of the most loved brands in the country. He also spearheaded the efforts to expand Pidilite's product portfolio and pioneer new categories. Today, Pidilite houses a number of category-leading brands such as Dr. Fixit, Fevikwik, Fevistick and M-Seal. Mr. Parekh is an astute investor, a philanthropist and has several accolades to his credit, including Entrepreneur of the Year by E&Y and Top 25 Business Leaders in India by Business Today. Mr. Parekh features in Forbes' list of 100 richest Indians. Pidilite has a massive market capitalization of 1,20,000 crores. The Indian Chemical Council conferred him with ICC Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Fevicol Man of India, Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh.
May I request Chani Trivedi, Director, Sri Aurobindo Group of Institutes, to please come and read a citation. Before she does that, I am also happy to invite IMA board. So IMA board is IMA has a two-stage concept. So there is an IMA board and there's an executive council. So Dr. Himanshu Rai is our chairman, but he's traveling. So I am happy to invite Mr. Santosh Muchal. As I call out your names, please join us on the stage. Mr. Manoj Jain, Mr. Manoj Munshi, Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, Mr. N. Mohan, Ms. Shonali Paul, Mr. Satyendra Tiwari, Mr. Satish Chandra Gupta from SBI, Mr. Upinder Dhar, and Mr. Vijay Goyal. So please come on the stage. I can see you. So Chani, may I request you to read the citation?
Thank you, Ashwin. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to read the citation today on behalf of Indore Management Association. Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh, Chairman, Pidilite Industries Limited, IMA Lifetime Achievement Award 2022. Don't count the days, but make the days count. With this thought, Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh, often referred to as the Fevicol Man of India, has been instrumental in building India's leading adhesives company, Pidilite. This remarkable effort, unparalleled vision, and consistency has made Pidilite Industries create a number of category-leading brands such as Fevicol, Dr. Fixit, Fevistick, M-Seal, and Fevikwik, which are synonymous to their product category. Mr. Parekh joined Pidilite Industries, a company started by his father, Mr. B.K. Parekh, in 1959, and under his trustworthy leadership, Pidilite today ranks amongst top 50 Indian companies with a market cap close to $14.27 billion US. Mr. Parekh also features in Forbes' list of 100 richest Indians in 2022. Success isn't just about greatness. It's about consistency as well. Mr. Parekh is an astute investor, and under his guidance, the group has been investing in new age innovative companies operating in the space of home tech, construction tech, and sustainable home care. Give without remembering and receive without forgetting. These simple words make a humble attempt to summarize the great life of an indeed humble person. Mr. Parekh has deeply committed to uplifting communities and creating impact beyond business, which is reflected in his philanthropic initiatives. He's been working relentlessly for rural development, education, health, skilling, and women empowerment in his hometown Mahua in Gujarat, as well as the surrounding villages. Mr. Parekh was named Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young in 2014 and recognized as one of the top 25 business leaders in India by Business Today. Indore Management Association is honored to present the great leader, Mr. Madhukar B. Parekh, the prestigious Lifetime Outstanding Achievement Award 2022 for and on behalf of the Board of Indore Management Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Chani. That was really nice. May I request Mr. Naveen Khandelwal, Vice President, and Mr. Sapan Shah, Treasurer, to join the board in presenting the award and the citation to Mr. Parekh. Thank you, members of the board. You may please be seated back. I am now requesting the members of our EC, Executive Council, to please assemble very quickly on the stage. And we'll have to do this exercise very, very quickly as I announce your names. President, Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, is there on the stage. Mr. Rakesh Jain, Mr. Savan Ladda, Mr. Vishnu Jaju, Ms. Ritu Grover, Mr. Ravi Nandi, Mr. Santosh Muchal, Mr. Gaurav Sujatia, Mr. Girish Mangla, Chani Trivedi, Mr. Deepak Bhandari, Mr. Sushil Dubey, Mr. J.S. Juneja, Mr. Dharmendra Jain, Mr. Shailesh Danani, Mr. Naveen Khandelwal, Mr. Ravi Nandi, Ms. Ritu Grover, Mr. Sapan Shah, Mr. Saurabh Khemka, Mr. Vishnu Jaju, Mr. Aditya Srivastav, Mr. Akhilesh Khandelwal. We also request our secretariat to please join us on the stage, and I would start with the senior most, Mr. Devilal Purohit. Devilal ji, aap kahan hain? Please stage pe aaye. So I think we should all hear from Mr. Devilal ji. So he's been in IMA for, I don't know, decades together. Mr. Devilal Purohit, Mr. Jagwant Singh Mangat, Ms. Seema Arora, Mr. Sumit Pathak, Mr. Yash Jaiswal, and Mr. Prakash Mehra. Please come. Let's gather very quickly. Thank you, guys. Fellow EC members, this is what we could give you. Huh? May I request the editorial team now to assemble? Thank you. Editorial team, please quickly assemble on the stage. People are waiting to hear Mr. Parekh speak. So editorial team, please come, led by Mr. Subodh Srivastav, and you can unveil the beautiful newspaper, the newsletter that you've released. I'm sure all of you have got an opportunity to lay your hands over the newsletter. Mr. Subodh Srivastav has compiled it, and a lot of effort has gone into it. I think this newsletter has made us see afternoons, evenings, mornings, early mornings together on the same day. That kind of effort has gone into it. So where is the editorial team? Yeah. So both editors are expected to arrive quickly. You can't come late after the event has happened. So our editorial team comprises Subodh, Nikhila, Ishani, and Neha Munshi, along with Seema, who's been working relentlessly on all projects. And so have you been, Jagwant? Otherwise I'll get complaints tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. So Parekh Saab, we hope you accept our award, and we would love for you to speak to us. So the stage is all yours, sir.
So good afternoon, everyone here. Good afternoon. I'm pleasantly surprised at the tremendous strength of Indore Management Association, all the activities which the association is doing, and the number of years these activities have been going on, and then the association is becoming stronger, and I think now the profile is possibly the best in the country, the association. So first of all, I would like to thank the association, Rathi ji and the other office bearers for giving me this honor. I am grateful to everyone connected with the association. So what I'll give you is a brief I would say, narration of the journey, some observations or some highlights. So, one thing which is, of course, just to give you a little bit of a description of how we started. And of course, we started, meaning my father was instrumental in starting the company. The key aspect of how company reached here was into, like जैसे आप बोलते हैं ना कि उसका बीज कैसा है, जो सीड के ऊपर से फिर वृक्ष होता है, तो the basic concept was do something which is not done by anybody else. Do not copy anybody, do not follow anybody, but of course anticipate the opportunities of the market and be the first to do it. So ये थोड़ा is easy sounding, but it is difficult to practice. So he started with two products. One was pigment dispersions for printing on textiles. Textiles was, I would say, one of the key large industries at that time around India, particularly in the Western India. And pigment dispersions were not made by anybody. This was just imported from Germany or Japan. The technique was not known to any Indian company. But he did a lot of trial and error and figured out how to do it. And white glue, again, was being imported into India in small quantities, little bit here and there, nothing much. Mostly it was natural, either vegetable or animal glues which were used by the carpenters. So these are difficult things to do. I mean, actually, if you see or look back, to select for a very budding entrepreneur, he had hardly had any money. To attempt this was not the normal thought which comes to mind when you start a business. So, for almost 20 years, the company was more weighted in favor of industrial chemicals, that is textile industry and other industries. As some of you may recall, those days the imports were restricted, import license regime was there. The focus was on import substitution, and therefore the whole environment was different. Although Fevicol was there in the market from almost day one, it was kind of a small child. The main focus was on industrial products. But something very, let's say, innovative or out of the box was practice for Fevicol also, which was in our company. I mean, my father nor anybody, any of his colleagues were from branded companies, or they never had any experience of brands. But what they did was something which possibly was path-breaking at that time, no other company was doing it, is to actually go and sit with the carpentry contractors or carpenters across the country, sit with them, understand their issues or their problems, explain to them the benefits of white glue. And this is, of course, subsequently known as BTL or field marketing and other things by other names, and practiced by a few other companies. But at that time, hardly any company was doing this. Secondly, as a next step, furniture design books were being published to help the carpenters. This was not to help the sales of Fevicol directly, but it went to a stage where we had a conviction that by helping the users, our business will grow. And for almost 20-30 years, those books were the, I would say, main means by which the carpenters or even householders used to choose design of furnitures. Of course, now with the internet, things have changed completely. But in those days, that was very, very critical. And third thing which was done was to introduce Fevicol in small tubes for school children. Now that business was very, I would say, relatively small. It was not really meant to be contributing a great proportion of our business. But what it did was that it made children familiar with the brand and the product. And most of them, when they grew up, they remained fond of the brand. So if you ask a lot of adults today, they said, yes, I used Fevicol in my childhood and I have very fond memories of Fevicol. Now that is a little long-term vision in terms of how to look at the brand. So, I mean, these are the things I just want to share, that it was completely out of the box thinking. It was not a usual way of building a brand. So, in the late 80s, then the things started changing, possibly, with the advent of change of government as well as, I think, change of environment. And we had, as all of you are aware, ran into a foreign exchange crisis, and we had to open up. Now, just a couple of years prior to that, or 3 years prior to that, we had a sense that this is going to happen. The market is going to open up, and we as a company need to change our focus from being an industrial specialty chemical company to a consumer branded product company. And that is a major change. Actually speaking, none of us had any experience of handling brands or something similar to that. So this was something which was necessary, but we were at that time not really equipped for that. But we went for it with an open mind. And then I think the small story of what happened in around 1988. Prior to that, we had made 2 or 3 ads for Fevicol, which were, I would say, very average kind of ads. We had made attempts. In 88, around that time, Piyush Pandey, who has been here 2 times, I think I was told, was a young executive in Ogilvy and Mather, O&M. And young meaning he was in the, let's say, junior category. And as in any large organization, the plum client assignments were taken by the senior people, and the assignments which were considered to be not interesting, or let's say, in his word, what was described to him as a kind of a dud assignment, was Fevicol, means the Pidilite. So it was given to him, you go and handle Pidilite, because nobody senior wants to handle it. So that's, I think, how the fate takes, charge of your journey. He was a tremendously creative person. We were new to the realm of brand, let's say how to handle a brand, but we were open to any idea. That means we were open to new way of doing things, different way of doing things, and not bound by any preconceived idea of how to handle this. Somehow or other, the chemistry clicked from day one between Piyush and us, and he took off creatively into a direction which was never seen before. That means he told us that if he narrated stories like this to any of his other clients, they were right away rejected. They would never entertain such ideas. Whereas here he got a supportive client. And not only one, I mean, it's one after the other. He, for almost now 20 years, he churned out ads which, I mean, all of you, it's across the length and breadth of whether you want to call old or young, rich or poor. It touched everybody, and that was a path-breaking thing. I mean, it finally led to cartoons quoting Fevicol in newspapers. At least 10 to 15 films were made where Fevicol was used in the dialogue. 2 or 3 film songs were using Fevicol. People thought that we are paying money for this, but it was the reverse. Actually, we told them that we will not pay a single rupee. You will have to take our permission to do it, So, so anyway, this journey, it's just to give you a brief idea. This nowhere in the world, first of all, adhesive is considered to be a low involvement brand. Low involvement meaning, I don't think so anybody in their daily life thinks of adhesive. I mean, they may think of their shirt or a perfume or a shoe or a mobile phone or something. Nobody thinks of adhesive. So it's a very low involvement brand. Nowhere in the world a brand like adhesive brand occupies a top spot in the top brands of the country. We have been consistently in the top 5 brands, across all brands, whether FMCG brands or whatever brands. So, I mean, you can call this a kind of accident, or we didn't plan for it, but it happened. And sometimes you call it luck. But luck is not a simple thing. When I was a student, I mean, one thing which stuck to my mind was somebody said that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So it is a combination of, if those who are prepared, for them when opportunity comes, they capitalize on the opportunity. Not everybody can capitalize. So that is something possibly what happened to us. It is in a sense luck, but we did play some role in availing of that opportunity. So this is story of one brand. The company also transformed from an industrial specialty chemical to a more focused on consumer. It's not consumer, but what we call bazaar products, because it's not products which are for the homeowners, but more for the users. What we call user meaning the intermediaries who are carpenters or plumbers, masons, etc. The second story was of Fevikwik. So we introduced maybe almost 25, 30 years ago aluminum tubes of Fevikwik of 2 gram at I think 20 rupees or something like that. And for number of years the sales were very small, in the sense that people were complaining that if you use 1 or 2 drops and it gels, then you are wasting money. That means the rest of the product is actually gelling in the tube. And when you waste money, you are not very happy about it. So that prevented people from adopting this product. And we kept scratching our head as to what to do about this. It's a very key property of the product that with the moisture in the air, it starts curing. And that's how it bonds. So then, one day the idea struck that if we have a 5 rupee pack, which people can use and throw also and don't feel the pinch, then possibly this may overcome the problem. Now, of course, this was not a proven idea, but we said, well, let's try. So we invented that 5 rupee plastic small pack, and there was a trick to it, because there is a plastic is actually transmits moisture, and the stability is not so easy to maintain, because if it transmits moisture, then it will again cure in the pack. So, okay, technically we solved the problem and launched the product. And after a year or so, it took off so well. Now we are selling about 15 crore pieces a month of Fevikwik 5. The third story is of Dr. Fixit. Of course, we didn't have any business which came with Dr. Fixit. What happened was that we thought that we need to do something which is beyond the adhesives business, and construction chemical appeared to be a potential, a large potential business. At that time, of course, it was only multinationals were in that business, and they were only mostly doing projects. Hardly anybody was doing what is called retail. So we thought of starting this business. For few years, we also did projects. It didn't succeed. It was really tough to succeed there. We didn't have enough knowledge. We didn't have specifications with architects, and multinationals were already entrenched there. But after a few years, then we thought that what is our strength is not this project business. Our strength is the retail business, where we had presence across the country. So we recrafted the business, and then we needed a brand, and along with the MSIL brand which we purchased from Mahindra's, there was a brand which was not used by them, which was called Mr. Fix-It. So 2-3 brands came which were not used by them. So we again repositioned the brand as Dr. Fix-It and branded these construction chemicals as Dr. Fix-It and launched in the retail market. And that was again a runaway success because there was nobody there. But again, next step, I think we see it was a basket of construction chemicals which included cement admixtures and various other things. And again, after a few years, we felt that this is not right. The brand has to have a sharp position in the market. And then we had to choose a position as to which would be the most potentially, having large potential. So then we could figure out that this is the waterproofing segment which is under exploited. Only maybe 5 to 10% of the structures are waterproofed with modern techniques, otherwise all old techniques are being used. So we repositioned Dr. Fix-It as a waterproofing brand after another few years, and that is what you see now as the strongest brand in waterproofing today in India is Dr. Fix-It. And that journey took us to where we are now on that. Another brand which we acquired, a business and a brand, was ROF, which was another 20 years ago, or 20 plus years ago. This had again a basket of construction chemicals, but again after a few years we figured out that this basket doesn't help. It doesn't stand for anything. I mean, construction chemicals is not a position which is easy to target customers. So we figured out that sitting side by side with Dr. Fix-It waterproofing, what we needed and what was actually taking off in the country was the stone and tile adhesives and grout compounds, which were in massive growth was taking place. So now ROF stands for stone and tile based servicing stone and tile industry, basically fixing industry. That means it is various kinds of adhesives, various kinds of finishing products, various kinds of grouts. And we have now almost 10 factories making ROF products across the country only for servicing this. So I'll just stop here for as far as the business is concerned. I'll just come back to a few lessons we learned. The first is that, of course, you invest in future. Many of you are entrepreneurs and you are already doing it, but what we learned is that the most important thing is to invest in future. And invest in future may mean a few different things to different businesses. For us, it meant investing in research and development, investing in brands, investing in people. Now, how far in advance you invest in future depends on your judgment. That means we figured out that the, let's say, adhesive market or the waterproofing markets and etc., at least 10 to 15 years before actually it became viable. We made losses actually for 10 to 15 years, and we persisted because we had faith that this will happen. So we kept investing. Now that's not always easy. You have to have a judgment and conviction that this is necessary. But it is really important. But along the way, two things are important. You have to have a capability to keep changing course, iterate. That means you keep learning new things and keep changing or adjusting your course as you move forward. You have to be open and flexible. You can't have a path charted out in the beginning and continue on that path. Then you have to also have fresh and original thinking capabilities, because this is kind of a uncharted territory. It's particularly areas where you are pioneering something is uncharted. So therefore you have to have thinking which is fresh and original. Of course you learn from others, but you can't copy others or should not copy others. So this is an important lesson we learned. The second lesson we learned was the platform which was built in early days by my father and the colleagues was not only the business, but we actually were struggling to coin the word for this, but it is, now we are calling it pill globin, like hemoglobin. So it's something which is akin to what is in your blood. It represents values, culture, and ways of working. And it has to be well thought out and well articulated and well practiced. It's not about talking about it, it's about practicing day to day. So finally what we realized was that values and culture are so precious that if you don't preserve this, then the business can fail. What we learned was that the values and culture cannot make a business succeed, but values and culture or lack of good values and culture can make a business fail. So that was an important lesson which we learned, and we are very conscious today to articulate this and make this, kind of connect with all the new people, young people, as to what all it means, so that they can connect with it and practice it. The other thing is that what we call intellectual humility. It is slightly different than personal humility. Personal humility, everybody is aware, that is like if you are saying namaste or touching somebody's feet or being nice to people, that is of course very important. But intellectual humility is very critical for businesses, because that allows you to keep an open mind and keep learning newer and newer things. And that's again easier said than done. A lot of people start forming strong opinions, strong ideas as they grow. And if you generally see the percentage of people who are of older age who have formed a strong opinion or a strong idea about things, that percentage keeps growing. But actually it's not good for business, because other than values and culture, one should not have strong ideas or strong opinions. It should be all flexible, open to change, open to learning, and that is the only way you can actually genuinely absorb what is the right thing and keep on growing. So I would suggest that intellectual humility is one of the, let's say, traits which is important to recognize and cultivate. It's is really at the heart of many business success stories. I mean, people may not have said this, but I can tell you that large number of people have succeeded because they had intellectual humility, allowing them to keep on learning along the way and learning. And I said there is a big difference between imitating or copying somebody and learning. Learning meaning you, of course, absorb whatever is there and sort out what is good for you, assimilate that into what you are doing or what is your thinking, and then move forward. The other lessons which we learnt was that apart from investing in future, intellectual humility, what is also very, very critical, and it is part of the values and culture, is that always be fair and transparent in your dealing with everybody. That means it is not about any particular group of people, whether it is your employees, whether it is your customers, whether it is your vendors, whether it is your investors. So being fair and transparent always, at all times, is extremely critical, and that actually makes your life easier and everybody's life easier. People actually start dealing in a different way with you if they have that kind of a dealing with which is fair and transparent. And the last thing is on that is that again treat, and this is something of course which is well known but sometimes not practiced, is that we are become gradually status conscious society with hierarchies and layers, and we tend not to give due respect to people who are at the lower rung of the ladder. But I think it is very important, and we believe it is very important, that regardless of the status in life, I mean status in life can mean anything, whether income or any other position or anything, we need to treat everybody with equal amount of respect and dignity. It's something which really is very, very important. But sometimes we forget to be conscious about this. If just to give one example, we have every alternate year we have what we call Smruti Milan. Now this is something which we do it. What we do is that we call all the retired employees to that function and express our gratitude to what they have done during their lifetime in the company. And the last one was only yesterday. The idea is simple, that, and many of them, a large proportion of them are factory workmen. I mean, they are not really very high level people. But basically to express our gratitude to people wherever they worked in the company is to recognize that all these people have, in a accumulative manner or combined manner, have made our company what it is. It is not anybody, one person's. You can have ideas and other things, but people have to contribute and work to make those ideas come to fruition. So this is something which gives us immense satisfaction, that we meet with those people. They have old memories, we have memories, and we connect with them. And there is, a sense that this is something we need to preserve, Why? Because we need to appreciate what everybody has done in their lifetime during their work in the company. So, these are few of the things I just want to share with you. Just to end this, I think that differentiation, whenever we are doing any business, not only, it can be pioneering, it may not be pioneering, but there has to be a differentiation. A differentiation is very important, and sometimes, and I'm not talking about completely path-breaking new businesses. There are sometimes businesses which are mature categories, but people have come and demonstrated that there is something, they can do something different. Now, what differentiation is there? There are plenty of examples. I mean, some are obvious, some may be not very obvious. Abroad, if you see the difference, what, let's say, IKEA has made to furniture. The furniture was a mature industry, and they took it to some different level. Or Zara has made to garment. Garment was actually considered to be a industry which nobody wants to get into because it was so competitive that a lot of companies were struggling. Or maybe Starbucks. Now, coffee is not a new thing. In India, homegrown now. There are conglomerates. Now, what does Tata stand for? I mean, they have multiple companies. What do they stand for? What is the one thing which anybody comes? Trust, right? So that is the differentiating feature with Tata. They can float any company, any business, but the customers are going to them because of one thing, trust. So now that, how they built over 20 years or 150 years, is a story by itself. That you have to consistently respect the trust and reciprocate the trust put in you by all the stakeholders. Now they may have, I don't know how many businesses, but one thing which is common is trust. Of course, there is a second important thing which they have done is when JRD started TCS, which was what I describe as a classic example of investing in future. I mean, at that time it was a very prescient, foresight he had that this is going to be a big business. So similar to Infosys and TCS, both had that kind of a sense that this is the future, and they invested heavily, both of them. And you see what they have achieved. They have led the country into a direction which is tremendously beneficial, both of them. And of course, there are many examples, and I'm talking about large companies, one thing, but I mean, forget about that. It doesn't matter that you need not be very large, always. But you have to be passionate in what you are doing. Now, even a differentiating means there may be a lassi wala somewhere who is differentiating, and everybody goes to that lassi wala in that town, or a chaat wala, or a tailor. But if you are doing something, do it with passion and differentiate yourself. It doesn't have to be a large business, big business, or whatever, because that gives tremendous satisfaction. It also brings business automatically, but that is secondary, I would say. It gives a lot of satisfaction and joy to the people involved in that endeavor. So, with that, I'll end my talk, and possibly there's some few remaining ads, and then we can have question answers. Thank you very much, all of you.
I think so wonderfully explained. I think it's a very long journey, a very in-depth journey. But I think so you've completely done justice to every word you've spoken, has been absorbed well. And the inspiration is to live the values which I think the 5 mantras which came, I think we can all take cues from those. Now may we request Mr. Sapan Shah to play the special ad, that special segment of ads, before we ask you a couple of questions.
आशीर्वाद देगी तुमको नहीं। एक गधे दिखता नहीं है क्या? 80 लाख रुपए नहीं यार। कौन देगा इसके पैसे? तेरा बाप। पैसे निकाल, 5 रुपए निकाल।
फेविक्विक सिर्फ 5 रुपए में।
क्या बनाया, असली लग रहा है ना? चलो वो जाके देखते हैं।
अरे क्या किया? तोड़ दिया मेरा 150 साल पुराना गुलदस्ता। बेवकूफ, गधे, पाजी, उल्लू के पट्टे। पैसे निकाल, निकाल 5 रुपया।
फेविक्विक सिर्फ 5 रुपए में।
बिट्टो, मम्मी ने बोला था ना दीवारें खराब मत करना, सुनते नहीं हो तुम।
आपसे भी शुक्ला अंकल ने कहा था कि बंगला बनवाते समय डॉक्टर फिक्सिट से वाटर प्रूफिंग जरूर करवा लेना। ये छत की हालत देखिए, हाँ? और ये बाथरूम देखा? सुनते नहीं हो?
दोबारा सुन लो, नया घर बनवाते वक्त फाउंडेशन से छत तक जरूर डॉक्टर फिक्सिट वाटर प्रूफिंग कराना। ओके बेटा।
अरे ये कोई फिल्म है?
पकड़े रहना,
छोड़ना नहीं,
पकड़े रहना,
छोड़ना नहीं,
पकड़े रहना।
ও কোথায় যাবি, কোথায় যাবি রে বাউলের হে ভব সংসার ছাড়িয়া ছাড়িয়া রে, হে ভব সংসার ছাড়িয়া। বলি গুরুর কৃপা না হইলে সুখ নাই এই দুনিয়ায় রে বাউলের হে ভব সংসার ছাড়িয়া কোথায় যাবি।
फेविकॉल मरीन, वही मजबूत जोड़, पानी में भी।
Thank you. I think
it was the year 1971 when a young man ventured into his family business to create one of India's most successful companies. This is the story of Madhukar Balwantrai Parekh, the owner of Pidilite Industries. Under his guidance, Pidilite Industries grew by leaps and bounds, going on to become one of the most admired companies in India. With sheer determination and a visionary outlook, he built a successful portfolio of products, expanding Pidilite's global presence to over 71 countries. A large reason for this success has been Mr. Parekh's open-mindedness and willingness to embrace innovative ideas, which is evident from these iconic and memorable commercials.
ये फेविकॉल का मजबूत जोड़ है, टूटेगा नहीं।
चुटकी में चिपकाए फेविक्विक।
सिर्फ एक टपकती बूंद आपकी किस्मत बदल सकती है। घर में रखिए MC।
Oh no! Oh yes!
फेंको नहीं, जोड़ो फेविक्विक।
It's a family that is not based on hierarchy, but on high performance benchmarks, innovative thinking, focus on customer satisfaction, and strong ethical values.
Pidilite Industries is still driven by Mr. Madhukar Parekh's vision and continues to evolve and grow through the same commitment to innovation and quality that has allowed it to remain at the forefront of the Indian business industry.
Thank you, sir. I think all this and sir's conversation, I think what he's achieved needs a standing ovation. So let us all stand up in his honor and let us all clap for this great man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, some things cannot be put in words, and I think we feel that happy. So there are a lot of questions which have come from the audience. I'm just trying to club all these so that I can give you one comprehensive question. So what are the challenges that you as a business have monopoly in many products or oligopoly in most of your products? So what are the challenges that you face, and what is the secret behind this name Fevicol? How did this emerge?
The challenges are there for all businesses, and to maintain leadership when you are a leader, and of course leader by a large margin, it's even more challenging because that is not something which you can take for granted. Always there are companies, and some of them capable companies, trying to take a share of the market, and we have to kind of take steps in time to strengthen our standing in the market. Now that may be done by various means. One of the means which we have deployed over the years is continuous research and development to introduce newer and better products on an ongoing basis. That means we have to keep 1 or 2 steps ahead of competition. You can't rest on what you have forever or for number of years. You need to compete with yourself. So first of all, first thing is that we believe that we should first compete with ourselves. That means how can we better ourselves what we were today? How can we be better than what we are today? And that is what is really very, very important. So we believe that we can be overtaken any time. However, we are having a large lead, and how to maintain that lead, and then that leads us to think in many different ways how to maintain that lead. So, but fortunately, we have been able to do it for almost 50 years. So.
And so the secret behind this Fevicol, how did this name emerge?
No, Fevicol, see, that was of course name given by my father. I think he put together the name. He was earlier, prior to starting Pidilite, working with a company called Federal Dice. So he took FE from there. And col is actually a German word for adhesive. It's a grammatical name for adhesive in German. And that therefore he had that Federal Dice was an agent for German companies. So he was familiar with that word. So therefore he coined Fevicol.
Thank you, sir. I think we had a lovely session. And there are many more questions, but again, so we can't be, holding you for a very long time. So may I now request Mr. Ashok Jain, CMD, Arihant Capital Markets, to please give a memento to Mr. Parekh. Seema. Thank you, sir. This was lovely. Thank you, Malika, for coming all the way.